Hey guys, my name is Shubham Parekh, and I'm the president at Speaker Series India at Berkeley. We at Speaker Series would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you for joining this event. Since some of you are new to the organization, I would like to give a short introduction about ourselves. We are a forum where we invite speakers from the political, social activism, and entrepreneurial spectrum of India to engage with the Berkeley community in general on issues which have direct impact on the lives of around 1.4 billion Indians across the world. In the past, our club has hosted eminent speakers like politicians like Rahul Gandhi, Haryana CM Manohar Khattar, Omar Abdullah, policymakers like Monty Singh Ahluwalia, entrepreneurs like Raghav Chandra from Urban Clap and Kiran Mazumdar of Biocon, journalists Ravish Kumar and Barkha Dutt, and even actors like Baman Irani, to name a few. With a list of over 20 plus speakers, we are really proud to add Mr. Bhikchandani and Mr. Jaynti Kanani, who I think is joining now. We just got an email from them to this list. I'll keep it short because Shubhan will be introducing our speakers. But since we are carrying forward a legacy of inviting leaders from every sector today, we have invited Mr. Bhikchandani, India's leading voice in entrepreneurship. So congratulations for the Padma Shri. And we're also hosting Mr. Jaynti Kanani, India's leading voice on Web 3.0, and someone whose work is very close to our hearts. So while we wait, everyone over here knows the title of the event. All of us came here to the US to study for opportunities here, but increasingly, there are multiple opportunities opening up in the entrepreneurial space in India. In fact, we had around 40 plus unicorns just listed this year. And that is why we are here with Mr. Bhikchandani, Mr. Kanani, someone who studied India, someone who pursued opportunities in India. And as Mr. Bhikchandani mentioned at the start of the event with our team, he would like to invite all of us to go back and do something entrepreneurial and work with him back home. So with that said, I'll keep it short and I'll let Shubhan introduce our speakers. Mr. Bhikchandani first and then Mr. Kanani. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shubham. I'm very glad to be here today. Just for my introduction, I am Shubham Dua and I am a sophomore student studying business and economics at UC Berkeley. And I'm also a member of Speaker Series India at Berkeley and in charge of the help in coordinating the outreach events. And today I'm very glad to be hosting Mr. Sanjeev Bhikchandani, someone who has sort of been like a personal mentor to me without even knowing it. Mr. Bhikchandani has not only inspired many people, but I feel like he has played a big role in actually convincing me to come back to India and post my education. So I hope that by the end of this event, he has a similar impact on everyone attending here as well. Mr. Sanjeev Bhikchandani has helped 1.4 billion Indians find everything: homes, life partners, jobs, and food. As the founder and executive vice president of InfoEdge, he has spearheaded several of the most commonly used websites by Indians, be it Zomato, Naukri.com, Jeevansathi.com, and others as well. 24 years ago, Mr. Bhikchandani set up Naukri.com, a jobs portal located on a server in India. As he was recently discussing it with us, it was among many ideas that he had tried out before, which truly proves his entrepreneurial spirit. In 2005, the Naukri.com was reported as being India's largest web-based employment site. Building up in the startup industry, he later launched 99acres.com in real estate, Jeevansathi.com in matrimony, and Shiksha.com in education. Mr. Bhikchandani has also made significant contributions to India's higher education sector. He is the co-founder of Ashoka University, one of the premier liberal arts institutions in India. Moreover, he recently received the Padma Shri Award, the fourth highest civilian award in India. And again, congratulations, sir, to you for that. In terms of his work currently, Mr. Bhikchandani also has background experience in investing, and he has been involved as one of the pioneering venture capitalists in the field, with his notable investments being in Zomato, which recently IPO'd this year, and his influence noted on the founders like Dipinder Goyal, who founded Zomato as well. So we are really grateful to have you here. And as the theme for this event, we want to understand from you a lot better about what you think about the future of India's entrepreneurial journey and try to answer some questions that our audience have as well. So speaking about that, we'd love to get any audience questions here as well. So feel free to drop them in the chat or send them to Speaker Series India at Berkeley, which is a Zoom handle that is currently being run by a club vice president, Pratyush. Okay, with that said and done, I would love to move into the first question.
Shubhan, I think we have Mr. Kanani here. Pratyush, can you put the spotlight on him so we can introduce him as well and then go into the event? Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Kanani. We just introduced our club and Mr. Bhikchandani. Shobhan and I will be co-moderating the event today. Just not to waste time, we'll move ahead with introducing you and jump straight into questions. Thank you.
Sorry about the delay.
No worries.
Welcome, Mr. Kanani, and I'm glad to introduce you today. Mr. Kanani is the co-founder and CEO of the MATIC Network, a top 20 crypto project by market cap focused on Ethereum scaling and infrastructure development, and the first made in India cryptocurrency unicorn. Kanani started his career in 2011 as a senior software engineer at Persistent Systems. At the same time, he worked on multiple side projects and joined a startup of Sumit Manier, then who later started Rupeek, an Indian loan company. In December 2014, he joined the Housing.com team as a data scientist. And in October 2017, Kanani co-founded MATIC Network after seeing the huge load Ethereum blockchain had. Before founding MATIC Network, Kanani was already in the blockchain space doing a side project called Game of Theories. After that, we love to see his passion as he tries to integrate the payment system into that project, and his work focused on Ethereum scaling as well. Jaynti is also an active investor into early stage blockchain companies, focusing on building the infrastructure for Web3. Sir, it is truly an honor to have you here as we discuss India's entrepreneurial future.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you for having me.
With that said, I would like to straight away jump into questions. So the first question I would like to ask both of you would be, how will you describe India's entrepreneurship future, considering the fact that we have gone through so many political and economic changes given in light of the pandemic? And also, on the other hand, we have seen, as Shubham mentioned before, almost 40 unicorns going public this year as well. So I would love to understand from your perspective. Firstly, we can start off with Sanjeev, and maybe then Jaynti can talk about how Web 3.0 is an opportunity for India's entrepreneurs.
Mr. Bhikchandani?
Yeah. Sorry. You asked me a question?
Yeah, we just asked a generic question on how you will describe India's entrepreneurial future.
Okay. So look, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure and an honor. And special hi to Asha Jadeja, whom I see in the audience, old friend. Hi, Asha. Okay. Look, I quit my job in 1990. I was 26 or 27 years old. I was 26 when I quit. And became an entrepreneur. At that time, it was, the Indian middle class parents, and my father was in the government, my mom was a homemaker. Indian middle class parents brought up their kids to study hard, go to a good college, get a good education, and get a good job. If possible, go overseas for your masters and then settle down there. Right? That was the standard script or aspiration. And when I quit my job, it was somewhat unusual for somebody who, who had my kind of qualifications to do a startup with 2,000 rupees. There was no venture capital, there was no nothing. So I was a bit of an oddball in that sense. But from then and now, I think there's been a huge change. There are several 100,000, maybe more than 1 million people trying to do startups right now. Many more than that are working at startups. Many more than that are aspiring that at some time in my life, I'll do a startup. Mm-hmm. So, and this is not just people from elite institutions. So just 3 days ago, I saw this program on TV. It's a Delhi government version of Shark Tank, a business plan pitch, and they get funding. And what they did was they went to Delhi government schools. They're government schools. These are, not privileged kids. And they called for business plans, right? And they got 51,000 entries, 51,000 from school kids in class 11 and 12 in Delhi government schools, right? And they gave them all 2,000 rupees seed capital grant and said, go and show proof of concept. And the ones who came back with something, they put on this TV show. And this is micro entrepreneurship. This is the asks are small. I want 50,000 rupees. I want 1 lakh rupees. I want 80,000 rupees. And so there's somebody who's doing compost, somebody who's doing, tribal art painting, somebody who's, doing a Bluetooth speaker at 250 rupees, and selling it to security guards, right? So the entrepreneurial energy, the number of people trying, the enthusiasm, the drive, I think that is multiplied 10,000x from 30 years ago. right? If you would asked, if you told my IIM Ahmedabad class, of 175, how many of you want to be entrepreneurs? Maybe 4 or 5 hands would have gone up, including mine. Today, if you ask that question in an IIM Ahmedabad class, maybe 25, 30%, 40% of the hands go up. So entrepreneurship, startups have become seriously aspirational, mainstream. People are okay with it. More importantly, parents are okay with it. So you see, India was always an entrepreneurial country, but typically you were an entrepreneur if you're from a business family. Typically you were an entrepreneur if you were from a certain caste or community. You're an entrepreneur if you didn't have a choice, couldn't get a good job, couldn't get a good education, so you tried something. But today, highly educated, qualified Indian entrepreneurs from middle-class families, by choice, choosing startups, I think that number is multiplied manifold. See, our best talent in India, academically, comes from the middle class. Those are the guys who go to IITs, those are the guys who go to IIMs, right? They go to all the good colleges because middle-class India flogs its children. Say, listen, I was told, son, you have nothing to inherit. So if you don't study hard, you won't do well in life. You've got to make your own life by your own effort. And so middle-class India does that to its kids, which is why middle-class India takes the best advantage of India's best education institutions at the college and postgrad level. And these people used to go and join good, safe companies. I worked for multinational 5 years, 2 multinational 5 years, right? That was the done thing to do, right? And you end up being a prisoner of your visiting card and of your EMI. EMI in India is equated monthly installment. You take a house loan, bank, or a car loan, you've got to pay it off every month, EMI. And you become a prisoner of that and you continue on that rut. And then you get wedded to your lifestyle. Right? And then you don't break out. But that has changed. So people trying has changed. Available risk capital is different. Much, much more now. The ecosystem has evolved. You have mentors, you have entrepreneurs who've done it before you, you have angel investors, you have organizations like TIE, you have entrepreneurship clubs in every college. And it is, Berkeley is inviting me here. Why? There's so much more interest in entrepreneurship now in India. That's why. So I think a whole lot of things have changed. I was talking to the secretary of the DPIIT, Government of India, just about a week ago. And he mentioned a number. He said there are 58,000 startups registered with DPIIT, which means there must be 500,000 to 1 million not registered. Right? Because, why do you register? There's no incentive. Right? And if you could, if I had counted maybe 30 years ago, I would have not come out with more than 100 or 200 or 500. That's now become 500,000, 1 million. So that's a huge difference. And because of which, entrepreneurship is Darwinian. If 500,000 try, 100,000 survive, and maybe 5,000 become big. And if 5,000 become big, that's a huge number over the next 10 years. So I think bright future. I think also if you look at, one more last point I'll make before I stop. Sorry, Jaynti, I'm just taking too much time, I think. You see, if you look at the Indian economy, I finished college in 1984. And there's been no revolution, but there's been evolution. Right? And in hindsight, you'll call it a revolution. Hey, revolution, okay. This has become a revolution. Right? When I graduated from college and I joined my first job, it was a completely different world. There was a 17-year waiting list to buy a Bajaj scooter. There was an 8-year waiting list to get a gas cylinder. There was an 8-year waiting list to get a telephone connection. There was no mobile phones then, telephone connection, right? It was an economy of scarcity, industrial licensing. If you produce, you can sell and you'll make money. So if you've got a license, profits are guaranteed. Not enough competition, right? Now, liberalization over the last 30 years has changed all that. Okay, so if you go back and you look at, if I look at 35 years ago to now, all the companies, the industries that have given growth, given employment, created buzz, none of those industries existed 35 years ago. IT services did not exist. IT-enabled services did not exist. Private mobile telephony did not exist. The internet did not exist. Mobile phone apps did not exist. Private airlines do not exist. Private sector banks do not exist. Private sector insurance companies do not exist. So essentially all the growth, the buzz has come from new industries, new companies. Some of these could be existing large groups diversifying like TCS. Some of these could be startups. Infosys and HCL were startups in 1980. And look at the impact they've had. So to my mind, startups are central to India's economic progress and growth, especially employment growth going forward. Right? And therefore, I think A, startups are important. B, it's really happening in India. I'll stop here.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjeev. Sir, you said rightly, the ecosystem has changed dramatically from 19 to 2021 now. For me, um, before Web2 startups, non-blockchain startup, we talk about taking funding out of India was painful, right? Like, very few funds were there, and also like they were very selective about like who to give funds, and if you're new and kind of not from prominent college or don't have an entrepreneur background, like they are basically very hesitant to give you the funds, basically investment. But for us, like when we started in 2017 as a in blockchain crypto world, same thing happened to us. Like in India, like no one was kind of giving us a fund investment. So what we did is we went outside of India, took the investment from global VCs, investment firms, right? And the good part about blockchain and the blockchain startup ecosystem is that you can be anywhere in the world, not just in India. Like you can be anywhere, or you can be pseudonymous or anonymous, and then you can still raise the fund globally, right? That's a good part. Like this changed like recently, like very like 2-3 years back. It was not the case, but now like you can be anywhere, you can be anyone and still raise the money without disclosing your name to public. And people have done that. People have done that. There's a company called YGG. One of the co-founder of YGG is anonymous. Like no one knows who he is or she is, and they raise money from ICE, the biggest crypto fund, biggest fund out there, very reputable fund. And so the thing is that now, like anywhere, anyone from India have that kind of capability of raising fund without leaving their home, right? So people can be there in the village in India, and then kind of send emails, tweets, and messages to anywhere in the world and get the funding, advice, all those things without worrying about kind of being in Silicon Valley or being out of India like that. Again, in 2017 that was not the case, and we had trouble raising funds. But now, like we are building the global product out of India. So currently, like we are distributed all over the world. We have kind of we have like 180 plus employees all around the world. So we are kind of remote in a sense. We are not kind of Indian based anymore. But we started out of India, and at the time we were building like kind of very global product. So we never cared about money from Indian investors. So it was like good for us, and this is true for any blockchain crypto uh, startup, right? People, if you are building something, if you have kind of passion for building something in blockchain, people won't ask you for your degree or anything, right? Since you kind of know the biggest college like Berkeley and the Waterloo and multiple other big colleges now also kind of have it. They have like a blockchain community around that. Also, they have a good connection. So good part about big colleges now, like they have good connections, so they can kind of know few opportunities they can grab very quickly. So that's there. And also with the blockchain and the kind of a global product, people now like kind of talking about having a co-founder from different countries as well, anonymous co-founders and those like things like that, right? So now like things have become so easy that let's say even if you haven't made kind of only interacted with people on your chat box on the Discord, with other people you can hire them without any problems, without VCs creating the problems for you, hiring the anonymous employees. So I think the entrepreneurship has changed, like having a close connected group of VCs and founders to open global talent, global co-founders, global VCs. So I think that thing has changed a lot. The thing is that I've seen people in India college dropout, are building something in DeFi and blockchain and getting funds, getting investments, right? So I think that is phenomenal. You all have that opportunity right now to be part of that blockchain, the revolutions people are talking about, and easy to raise fund right now. Getting kind of if you so since kind of the whole space is very technical. So if you like kind of technical challenges, like this is the best place to be. And I think I'm also talking with multiple other young founders in India, outside India, and asking, talking with them to look, hey, if you want to build something, if you're exploring something, maybe explore the blockchain as well. And so yeah, I think time has changed. Money is very readily available compared to what Mr. Sanjeev talked about. So I think yeah, that way, like if you have money available on the investment side, like 50% of, or maybe 70% of your problems just gone, right? Because you have money, you can hire talent, you can spend on the growth and multiple other ways, right? So yeah.
Thank you so much for that response. Just shifting gears here, you spoke about India's entrepreneurial future because you both are entrepreneurs, but you're also investors yourselves. You're investing in projects like Sanjeev is notably known for investing in Zomato, Policy Bazaar, etc. Jaynti, you're an angel investor in a lot of Web 3.0 projects as well. So I think our question next is, what goes into your thought process in identifying problem areas and coming up with solutions in these industries? I think Sanjeev focuses more local in India. Jaynti, blockchain projects are more global. So if you both could probably give a response to this one, starting with Sanjeev again.
So look, as far as investing is concerned, we do not predefine sectors and say, let's look at this sector and see who's good in it. We just meet every startup we can. So in a quarter, we must meet about 1,000 startups. We invest in 4 or 5 or 6, right? So we are not limited by our own imagination. We are now harnessing the imagination of all the entrepreneurs who we invest behind. There is absolutely no reason to believe that we have all the ideas, right? So if I had looked at sector-wise top-down, which problem should we solve, we would never have found Zomato or Policy Bazaar. Because if in 2008, if you had come and told me that, hey, why don't you look at insurance aggregation and comparison? And I would have said, what's that? Because no company existed in that space in India. Or if somebody told me in 2010, why don't you look at restaurant listings? And I was like, are you crazy? Is there anything there? Is there a market there? So we keep meeting entrepreneurs. If we like them, we like what they're doing, they're getting natural traction, and they provide us with some sort of glimmer of light where we can see that they're solving an unsolved problem potentially. A problem which we didn't know existed. A problem based on a certain customer, industry, and market insight, which we didn't know about. So it's very often a revelation to us. For example, we invested in this company called Shoe Connect, which is now called Business. Now, they had identified a problem which would never occur to me. That look, there's now of course it does because others are doing it or similar stuff. But when we first met them, it was a revelation to me. That listen, there's a highly fragmented manufacturing base of shoes in India. Right, there are many companies, a few thousand companies, all dispersed. And we only know the big brands. We know a Bata, we know a Lakhani, we know a few others, right? But those many other houses we don't know, and they have a challenge getting to market and to getting the products placed in outlets. And retail outlets around the country don't see half the products. So if you can create a marketplace, you can create a B2B supply chain where people can order, you deliver, you take from the factory and deliver. Then there's a 30 to 40% currently intermediary margin there in the offline world. Can you disintermediate that and cut it down? And and these are people who are not from IITs, not from IIMs. So when on biodata, they would not be able to raise money, but they knew the market because one of them was from Agra and family in the shoe trade, domain expertise. And the more we talk to them, the more we got confidence, they're cuddling and they'll do it. So we put a small sum of money, then a small sum of money. And now we've got Sequoia and Matrix coming in behind us. So we like to be very early. We like to be led by the entrepreneur and his or her ideas, and his or her insight. We kick the tires around that. And if we like what we see and what we find, then we go in. So our secret sauce is meeting 1,000 startups every quarter.
Wow, that's a huge number. We have a follow-up over there, but we'll come back to.
Well, no. Meet means phone call. Meet means look at the PowerPoint, assess it, give a call. Figure out. So if we like a startup, we also then research everybody else in that same vertical around in adjacencies, and only then go in. So when I say meet, I mean meet/research.
Got it. Jaynti?
Yeah, for me, it's very different. So first of all, we are running the platform-based company where you can kind of deploy your own applications. So we are directly working with the people or the teams who deployed on our platform, right? And more or less, most of the time, they are always raising. So what we have done is that we have a new arm called Polygon Studio. So Polygon Studio is basically venture arm where we invest as a company, as a foundation, as a project to the other projects who are building on Polygon. So that's there. It's a global. We are not segregating anyone from country-wise. It's a global firm, and we have so far invested in many projects who kind of subsequently raise fund from other big Tiger Global or Sequoia or other funds, right? And the second thing is that personally, I kind of invest in a small amount, in a small amount where people can the teams who are deploying on Polygon. So in that, I kind of segregate startups into buckets. So one is kind of where I can see there's a market there, and we just need a product to fit that market, right? Because in blockchain and crypto, in this world, there is no there are many open problems to take on. There is open problems in market there, and I know okay, these are the problems. If people are building on in these areas, this is good, right? So I just kind of take that. And the second thing is that I see, okay, hey, these are the long shot. This might work or might not work. Maybe this will fail. If this works, it will be big. Or I see, okay, hey, this is kind of work short term, maybe won't work on the long term, or maybe other way around, maybe short term it won't work, or maybe let's say if NFT works, then this one will work. If DAO works, then this will work, right? So I think like that, and then kind of invest on those things. So it's very different. How it would work. How I think it depends on the case by case. For me, it's very different because I know I have seen this market very well from 2017 to right now, and how it kind of works internally. and what are the things which on hype but might not work, which is not very hype, but in the future it might work. So I know kind of a sense there, so I kind of invest like that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean there is no concrete checklist for me. It's just an intuition. Yeah.
It's really fascinating to know your investment process, especially since you talked about blockchain. So I feel like it'll be great if we can address a question specific to you. You mentioned about blockchain solving global problems, but we understand that back home, there is a certain sense of lack of clarity and ambiguity going on because of the Indian government's regulations regarding crypto. And we have also seen you being vocal about the issue as well. So we just want to understand from your perspective if there's something that you'd like to advise the current government, and what would you advise the youth about embracing this new technology?
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt,
Yeah.
but I really like your sorry to interrupt, but I really liked your meme on this I think
Yeah. I
topic.
was. Yeah.
Dubai
I
Singapore
was.
one.
Yeah.
I was just joking there. So don't kind of not take that seriously. So I'm just joking. If let's say Indian government do something foolish or some crazy, then people will move out of India and go to Dubai or Singapore or any other countries, US or any other countries basically. And people kind of know this basically problem for India, right? So that was just a joke. So don't take it seriously. Even after this tweet, even media houses also reached out to me on the same. So I had to say the same. But yeah, so in serious note, like I just wanted to say that yesterday's session from Parliament was very good, and people knew like okay, government is taking the good step towards the Indian ecosystem instead of going or banning the crypto. So I think that's a good part. The second part is that now, like we obviously we all need regulations. US also working on the regulation part. India also needs regulations because otherwise people will just go dump their money into crypto without thinking and kind of fund out in this risky market. So obviously, regulations is needed. Um, before this yesterday's session, there was kind of no uncertainty there if they would ban the crypto or not. If they would have banned the crypto, then the problem is not for the with the entrepreneurs, crypto entrepreneurs, they just go outside India and then build there. The problem would be the people and the Indian itself, right? India itself. So USA and other countries are kind of betting on crypto and blockchain, and India just banning them. So it's basically we are banning the internet very early, 1990 or in 90s, right? So it's very bad for India. But now, like I'm happy that it's good. So also like in this whenever the new industry comes, new market comes, and people always kind of uncertain about something, but slowly like new jobs kind of get created, everything. So I think in blockchain also like we have seen many new jobs created in this space. And people often talk about like regulations and crypto, and I will always say, okay, hey, see, for example, we consider India as a farmer agriculture country, right? Like you have agriculture in the base, and still we are figuring out the farmer laws, right? We have seen the laws in the farmer and agriculture side, and we are still figuring out the good laws for the farmers and everyone. And in crypto is very new, right? It will take some time to figure out, okay, hey, what is good for the what is good role for the country for the crypto. So it will take some time. So I think this analogy is very good, where we can say, okay, it takes some time, so don't worry about that. People will think about it. Maybe some ups and downs will go in in the regulation side, but I think in the end, all is well, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I think just because of I think issues of time availability, I'll just completely segue into a question we really wanted to ask to both of you. And it's something we spoke to Mr. Bhikchandani before the event with our team, but we'd like him to rephrase it because the audience is here. And this is for you as well, Jaynti. So we are all international students who ourselves came here for the education opportunities thereafter. recently, Parag Agarwal is in the news for becoming the CEO of Twitter. And we know how so many top tech firms all have Indian CEOs who came here after their undergraduate education with the opportunities over here. But you both are unique in the sense that you both pursue education in India and stayed back to pursue opportunities back in India. We also know Mr. Bhikchandani himself is also the co-founder of Ashoka University. And Jaynti, you do not come, as you mentioned, I think in your answer before, you don't have any pedigree in your university education. I think you, if I remember correctly, you come from Dharam Singh Desai University.
Yeah.
But you still both made it big, right? So I think we just, since most people over here are Indian students at different universities in the US, if you could just both talk about how your college experiences have been in shaping your entrepreneurial mindset. And second, what advice will you give for Indian students who've come to study here abroad? Anyone can start.
Jaynti, you want to go first?
You can go first, sir. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Look, my college experience, I had an entrepreneurial dream since I was 12 years old. Sometime on the other end of my life, I will be an entrepreneur. I'll start my own company. And for me, the motivation was independence. I wanted to be independent early on. Now, this is a fuzzy goal, and it got sort of crystallized when I was leaving high school, that I said yes at some point in time. I began to tell friends about it, and that's when you know it's a real goal, right? That sometime in my life I'll be an entrepreneur. But it took me several years to actually become an entrepreneur. So I wouldn't say my college experience shaped me, because my entrepreneurial motivation had come in long back, right? Neither did my college education give me any specific tools to do a better job as an entrepreneur at the undergrad level, that is. Okay, but naturally, when I did my MBA, or I studied management at IIM Ahmedabad, that of course is very, very useful and practical for actually running a company, for doing a job, right? And that did help me. But again, it did not give me entrepreneurial motivation. I think entrepreneurial motivation comes from within. And if you are motivated to be an entrepreneur, hopefully you will eventually become an entrepreneur.
Jaynti?
Yeah, so for me as well, in college, like, it's just a normal college, just bunk classes and everything. So never thought about creating something out of college. But in my first company in Pacific System, my mentor and my manager, Dhruv Ray, he basically introduced me to Hacker News, Y Combinator Hacker News, right? And from there, I kind of got some interest into creating the company, building some product and everything. So I think that shaped my journey, to be honest, not the college. Yeah. And I thought about going into the US or Canada for the further studies, but we had no money. We kind of we thought about taking the loans and going there, but it would I thought let's not do that because my father was he was not working properly because of his eye problems, etc. So we thought, okay, hey, let's ditch that idea and take the job and start earning money. Yeah.
That's very interesting to hear both of your conversations and views on college education, because the traditional thing that we have been taught is get into a good college and then your life will sort itself out. But it's also very fascinating to really figure out that with the help of
that's absolutely right. You get into a good college, life will be sorted out, no question about it.
Yeah.
The question is, what is life you want? Okay, and is that the life you want? Or even after going to a good college, maybe you want this life and not that life. So what do you want?
Also, yeah. Also, the getting in good colleges is good for the you see outside world directly, from early on, right? You meet good people, you make good connections. That's a very, very important part of life, right? People are not going to IIT just for the studies, right? People are going there for the connections, right? You are there for not to study. You can study if you want to study. You can study at home on YouTube nowadays. That's not a major concern. You are there for the connections and the experience you are taking in a college life. Yeah, so that's important. I've seen people from the Canada Waterloo. It's not a best college in the world, but they are producing good blockchain developers. Why? Because they have good connection. People get inspired from other people. that's a major part. Like that's the thing you want to learn from the college, I guess. Yeah.
Like, I completely agree with you, because whenever someone asks me what have you learned at Berkeley, I always talk about how I made a network at Berkeley. Because if you think about it,
Yeah.
I could never imagine myself talking to you both if I was in a random university in India. Because I have the Berkeley name, we have like that background to support us. We can reach out to speakers like you or top politicians in India, which would have never agreed to talk to us if we probably came from some mediocre university back home. So
Yeah,
that's definitely
exactly. Yeah, I mean, see, people are not going into college for study. They are going for their experience and mentorship and people and finding the future co-founders and everything. Yeah.
Well, Jaynti, it's like this, Indian society, especially middle class India, you want that degree. I'll tell you a little story. About 10, 12 years ago, I had gone to Coimbatore to give a talk at at one of the tech festivals at one engineering college or business festival, I forget now. Right. And over there, I met this very smartly dressed young man, in a tie, wearing a tie and things. And he came to me and began chatting. I said, "What do you do?" He said, he was obviously not a student. He was a little older. So he said, "I'm a distributor salesman for a FMCG company distributor." Now, when I was working in FMCG, a distributor salesman needed to be class 8 pass. So I said, "Really?" He looked really smart for that. Okay. I said, "What have you studied?" He said, "I've done an MBA. So I said, "You've done MBA and you work in distributor salesman?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Why do you need an MBA for this job?" He said, "No, I don't need an MBA for the job. I did an MBA because I won't get a good wife if my father-in-law would not, will not give his daughter in marriage to me. If no father will daughter marriage to me if I'm not an MBA." So there are many reasons to go to get qualifications, Jaynti. It's not just in India, labels matter even now.
Yeah.
But if you look at the greatest entrepreneurs, some of them, Bill Gates, look at Mark Zuckerberg, you look at they have money, right? They didn't go to college, they didn't complete college. That does not mean you shouldn't complete. That does not mean you should not complete college. So don't get the wrong message out of it. Please complete college. But all I'm saying is, don't assume that college is. Don't wear your degree on your sleeve. Let me put it that way. Do real work.
So, Sanjeev,
but understand one more thing. See, the IIM Ahmedabad, the St. Stephen's College, the St. Columbus School, the pedigree does open doors. Now, I don't need that. Okay. Mm-hmm. But when we did need that, it did open doors. It did get me the first meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
That's important.
I just want to pick over here. Sorry, Shubhan, if I interrupt, but since we're having an open-ended conversation, what was your reason behind starting Ashoka then, Sanjeev?
Very personal. It's a long story.
Okay. Okay.
We have time? Okay. So
yeah,
look, I was very proud of my school and college and business school. They were academically some of the finest institutions when I went there. And over time, I saw at least my school and my college deteriorate. Right? And I had chucked up an ID admission to go to St. Stephen's College. Right? And I thought, it's time maybe to start a new college because this college is not what it used to be. And so I went to my friend Ashish Dhawar and I said, "Listen, do you think we should start a new college in India, a new university along the lines of the American liberal arts universities, which is width and then major, as opposed to choose a subject and then just study it the way we do in most colleges in India?" And he said, "That's a good idea." Then we got others around us, and that's how we started it. Long story short, that's just very simple reason. But Ashoka has many aspirations. Number one, it's a collective philanthropy effort. It does not belong to any one person, one business house, one family. Right. Number two is, like I said, width and then major, as opposed to other Indian colleges. Number three, we are saying charge full fees from those who can afford it, but otherwise give generous scholarships. So roughly 65% of students in Ashoka are on some sort of scholarship or the other. Right? Do something in liberal arts and humanities, because there are several thousand engineering colleges in this country, several thousand management schools in this country. There are very few high-quality private colleges focused on liberal arts. So we said this is an unsolved problem to be solved. Okay? And one other thing we said was that, look, in India, if you succeed, you get copied. So government started 5 IITs, and now there are 5,000 engineering colleges, 4,000 engineering colleges. Because once IIT succeeded, many more engineering colleges came up. The government started 3 IIMs. When their graduates did well, you now have 3,000 business schools. Right? So we said, if we do one Ashoka well and he succeeds, hopefully we'll get copied. And the college education model of India will change but we will only start one college. So we want to be copied. So every time somebody contacts us, say, how are you doing it? Can we come and see? We say, yes, we open our doors. So now there are 4 or 5 different sort of colleges, universities in the country doing liberal arts, and they're all in touch with us. Because this is a new kind of pedagogy that we want to promote.
Yeah, sorry, Shubhan, we actually have an audience question, which is like kind of follow up to the answers these both of them gave. So Bhavya, do you want to ask your question next? We have Bhavya, a UC Berkeley student, for some audience question. Pratyush, can you unmute him?
Sure. Thank you so much, Shubham. So my question is to Mr. Sanjeev, that initially you said that you don't have any technical background, and I'm studying business at Berkeley as well. And I'm also really passionate about starting a startup and being an entrepreneur. So can you tell me, how can someone who does not have any technical experience go out there, start a technical startup as you did? What challenges someone will face, and what should I be prepared for if I want to start a startup?
Well, look, obviously you need a co-founder who's a tech guy. See, you need tech at the top table, no question about it, if you're doing a tech startup, right? So you need a co-founder or two, and find that co-founder. Typically, a co-founder is somebody you already know in your network, somebody you studied with, somebody you grew up with, somebody you vibe well with. So the thing about a co-founder is that apart from being complementary skills, there needs to be an emotional, good chemistry, good vibe. It's very hard to work with somebody when you're starting out if you don't have a good vibe, right? So this is something which I think you need to figure out. But you can't, and obviously you must educate yourself a bit on tech. At least you can have a conversation with a tech person, even if you can't do the code yourself, right? So read up, do a few short courses, understand a few things, figure out, get a tech mentor.
Okay.
If you can learn some basic programming, not to actually write the code for your startup yourself, but at least to understand what programming is about, it'll help. So I had done some basic programming. I had at IIM and before that. So at least, while I could not write complex code, at least I could give a good brief and evaluate the output.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
That's a really interesting.
So I would say tech familiar, little bit of tech literacy, small, simple code writing, just to understand what it's about, and get a tech founder.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that answer. And I feel like we also have another audience question in right now. If it's all right with you both, we'd love to extend it by 5 minutes more, just to accommodate a couple of questions, if that's all right.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this question, I feel like it builds on the top of the conversation we were having about college education. This question is, so what advice would you guys give to a 4th-year student who's slightly wary and anxious about stepping into the real world, considering the discussion about college actually not having that much bearing on, college might not be having that much actual bearing on how people perform in life. So we'd love to first hear from Jaynti and then Sanjeev. What's your opinion on or advice to a 4th-year student who's anxious about starting his future?
Yeah. So from me, when you're bootstrapping your career, like college is like you need good names, like as Sanjeev also said, for example, for him, IMA is he kind of opened, like IMA opened multiple doors for him, right? So that is good, having a good college is obviously help there. But let's say if you want to start something or do something extraordinary, like obviously only having good college name won't help you. Of course, like you need to do multiple other things as well. But having good college name definitely helps you. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's not that college can't impact what you do in life. College can, and it does so in various ways that you don't understand, perhaps, or you don't realize at the time when you're going through it. Will the academics you study at college have bearing? Not all of it, some of it will. So even if I look back at IIM Ahmedabad, maybe I find 90% of what I studied there, I did not use. The truth is, however, when I was studying it, I didn't know which 90% I would not use. So you study all 100%, right? Something will be of some use, right? And you go through it. Now, my first business idea came from what I saw at IIM Ahmedabad. And that's how this company started with 2,000 rupees. We do a salary survey of what company we started this company with 2,000 rupees in 1990.
And that was Naukri, right? Naukri.com.
No, that's not Naukri. That was, I drifted for 7 years. I quit my job in 1990 and I drifted for 7 years doing a whole bunch of small things.
Okay.
Salary surveys, trademark database, some report writing, some teaching, some training, some writing, some consulting, some journalism. We launched Naukri in 97 as the 21st small idea. Because when we launched it, there were only 14,000 internet accounts in the country. We had no idea where to go. I had no clue. I was just pottering around and I was tinkering and I was drifting. Right place, right time, worked hard, worked smart, got lucky. Naukri became big. But I had no ambition to build a big company. I was very happy running a small company as long as I could, get by financially. Right. So that's how it happened to me. So, so what bearing does college have? In hindsight, you will discover it does have bearing. When you're there, you probably don't know what the bearing is. But, I would say don't be anxious. It's okay. Life will get sorted out as you go along. So don't put crazy pressure on yourself. There's a pop philosophy song by Billy Joel called Vienna. I don't know if you ever heard it. After this session, you may want to just go and listen to that song and try and understand the words.
Okay. Never heard, yeah, but we'll listen to it.
Billy Joel, Vienna. I recommend it.
Okay. We have the recording, so we'll take the name down and write back to you after we hear the song.
The older people in the audience may know this song. Asha, perhaps you may know it. I don't know. No, it doesn't matter.
I think we can probably just wrap it up now. I think while wrapping up, some final thoughts from you all would be great. I know Jaynti worked at housing, Sanjeev founded 99 acres. So reality is a common interest. But apart from that, any 3 ideas you believe has impacted your life, and any final thoughts before ending the event?
Hello.
May I go first?
Anyone?
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I'll say 3 things. I'll say 3 things to people, or maybe 2 things. Let's see. The first thing I want to say is successful businesses are built on deep customer insights. That's one key learning of mine. I got an insight in my last job that jobs are a high interest category of information because I saw people reading the appointment ads in the business magazines before they read the articles. And that gave me an idea that, hey, people are interested in appointment ads. They read them before they read the articles, right? So therefore, if you get all the newspapers from around the country and take all the appointment ads published there and put them up on the net, when I saw the internet for the first time, you'll get traffic. You'll build a traffic magnet. And that's what exactly we did. And that's what exactly happened. And that's how Naukri started. It was based on an insight or an observation. Likewise, Zomato. I asked Deepinder Goyal. It was a restaurant listing site. It had all the menu cards. It's the only site that had all the menu cards. I asked Deepinder Goyal, how did you get this idea? And he said, there was a long line always in our office cafeteria to access the file which had all the delivery menu cards of the restaurants that would deliver there. So I scanned those menu cards and put them on my office intranet, my personal page. And 98% of the office traffic internally began to go to my personal homepage. That's when I knew that aggregation of menu cards got value to the customer insight. So if you're studying a customer, look for customer insights, look for gaps in the market, look for a need gap, look for an unsolved problem that needs to be solved. And if you solve it, you won't have to sell, your customer will buy. And if you're in a situation where your customer's buying without you selling, that's half the problem solved. The second thing I want to say is that, everybody pitches for VC money and angel money and seed money, right? I want to say that the customer's money is more important than the investor's money. Okay, because if you're getting the customer's money and you're getting it repeatedly from the same customer at a price that's higher than your cost, then chances are you have a viable business as long as you get enough customers. Right? And if you're getting a customer's money, the investor's money will almost certainly follow, because investors love to invest behind businesses that are getting customer money. But if you get the investor's money first, there is no guarantee the customer's money will follow. Because getting the investor's money is about impressing a couple of MBAs across the table with a PowerPoint, very often. Right? But to get the customer's money, your business is not successful when you raise money. Your business is successful when you get customers and they pay you. Right? So I'll leave you with these two thoughts.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to create a company, start kind of a business, they always look for the advice online and kind of they create the checklist in their mindset. Okay, hey, I need this to do that. I need this to do that. But in reality, that's not the case, So we as a at Polygon actually failed at every checklist, by the way. I never told many when we were raising, but I can say now that I never knew my co-founders before I started at Polygon, right? I met them Anurag was sitting just opposite to me, Sandeep we met on the group. So we felt the actually initial checkpoint, any checklist the mark, anyone kind of look for investors, right? The second thing is that we never had an entrepreneurship background. We never came out of good colleges, right? We never raised billions of dollars, by the way. We raised $5 million, right? And we reached from 35 million valuation to 13 billion valuation using that $5 million, right? So that's right. And there are so many things I can say right now is that we have kind of failed so many standard points people mention to become successful, right? So the point is that even if you're starting something, if you want to build something, don't wait for confirmation from other people. Just do that, build that, and let's see how it goes. Don't worry about anything at all, like any other things. And maybe it basically if you're hustling through your building something, stars will align automatically if you are building something. If market is there, that's the main point. If there is a market, you will be successful if you're building good product to fit that market. That's the only thing, keep you in mind, keep that in mind. I think Zomato is a good story. Sanjeev also mentioned that, people were not thinking about that. Before that Zomato, there was no menu card aggregation is like a simple crazy idea, but still it became so successful. So yeah, I think that's from my side.
Okay, that's some great ideas to leave our audience with. We won't probably just summarize ideas at now because we're short on time. I'm so sorry for that, and thank you so much for extending your schedule for us. We'll wrap it up over here. Thank you, Sanjeev and Jaynti. Hopefully your ideas can inspire many more Indians abroad to go back to India and build for the world from
India. Come back and talk to us. I think there's lots of potential in India.